Hey people, in these last three videos I posted, I put them in the same folder where I found an old book of John and I was comparing it. And this is a good one. You don't want to miss this, and it's a real good movie. And this is the last one I did. It kind of starts off slow and it's got some good information later. But after I posted, I seen where I had mistaken. I was dyslexic and I was seeing this as an M, but it's not. This is that Greek letter U in cursive. It's like the Vav. It's a U, a W, or a V. And so it's still three different ways they wrote this, and here it was Theos, Theos. In the other Bible it was Vios, Vios. And here it's just there's no I, it's just VOS. The mark here has it read, this way, WOSOV, was of. But what I showed in that movie, that these three different Bibles write this three different ways, and it just takes, the way these writings are, it just takes a small difference to really change the meaning of something. You can change the meaning, with one letter. But I finally got this Xristos nailed down. I found it. And I'm going to hit some of these translations down here at the bottom, and I'm going to show you exactly what that Xristos means. I'm going to start with this line here, and I'm going to try to get this last one in too. And this is a small paragraph, starts at 35. It's called The First Disciples. In this line 41, it's got some words that you recognize. It's got some twisted, and it says it's going to give the meaning of Messiah. And they say this means translated. And I'm going to read it here in this Polyglot Bible so you get an idea of what these letters are here. But it has the Xristos in it, and it has Messiah in it. And this is where your word Eureka comes from, although they're reading it wrong. And the proton is the first, as in a prototype, the first type. But they're reading that wrong too. And a majority of our language has been created from misinterpretation of this book. And we're going to see our true language in the correct reading of this. So this whole chapter has been about the Alpha Omega, which is a Coatus. He's a long-eared owl, known as the long-eared owl or the cat owl or the lesser horned owl. He's in the genus of Aceo, the species of Atus, Aceo-Otus. And they'll say here it's from Carl Linnaeus from 1758. But Pliny also talked about the Aceo-Otus. This is an ancient word. Carl Linnaeus didn't come up with this. The long-eared owl, Aceo-Otus, the genus name Aceo, introduced by the French zoologist. But the genus name is from Aceo, a Latin name used by Pliny the Younger. And he died in 113. So this is at least a 1900-year-old word. So this owl, he's the teacher. And he's teaching about the moon. He's teaching about the moon's relation in astrology. And it was the old Vedic and Hebrew astrology that had more to do with the moon than your sun sign. And he's teaching about Rahu and Ketu. And so these are known as the north and south lunar nodes. Rahu is over there around Easter, where the sun and the moon will have intersecting paths. And Ketu is on the opposite side, and it's the south node. So their interpretation is, finds he first the brother of Simon, and he says to him, we have found the Messiah, which is translated Christ. And the only word they got right here is Messiah, and maybe Simon here. But this first word, this finds, they're trying to associate it with this Eureka, and it'll be used all throughout this chapter in different ways. But it's who, like the owl says, who does. And so it's it's who risk they. EY is they, same as in the Hebrew. EY is they. E is THE and a I is a Y. THEY, they. And so who, EU, risk, RISK, who risk they. Who risque. Risque, slightly indecent and liable to shock, especially by being sexually suggestive. Risk, the risker, to risk. Who risk they. Who risque. And then backwards, is the kisser, KSIRU, the kisser too. And the EK can also be replaced with the L. And so this could also be pronounced the lesser two. Who risque the lesser two. And that's this mark here. You'll see it different ways. But when it's here, it means to read on through and then backwards back to this mark. And it's the same here. And then the mark above this wave, has you move the last letter in front of this letter before you read it. And so the O is reading twice. O-V, of, and then you bring the O, utus. Utus, the owl. And it's where you get your word hoot from, hooty-hoo. And so this utus, that's also the Greek word for the eye of Horus. The all-seeing eye, the widget. It was often equated with mat, meaning the truth and balance and order and harmony and law. And derives from the mythical conflict between god Horus, the horizon, and his rival the Set, the sunset. And it could also represent other concepts such as the moon, whose waxing and waning was likened to the injury and the restoration of the eye. And Egyptologists have long believed that hieroglyphs representing pieces of the symbol stand for fractions in ancient Egyptian mathematics. And the eye of Horus was also known as widget, often rendered as widget or widget, meaning the whole, completed, or uninjured eye. You can see this Greek spelling, the B is in utus. It's the same spelling, the OU, and then a little line telling you move the O over, of utus, in hoot, in the hooter. In the coin Greek is utu, in utu. And then this reads backwards, back to this mark here. And so it's who risque lesser two, of utu so two, for Orton. The same here, you move this R over, and so it's PRO, pro is for, if you're pro something, you're for it. And so it's pro Orton. And so Orton, could be a right angle, and it could be the garden, or it could be the moonrise. From the Latin, ortus, I rise, get up. They got this translated as the first, and that's where they create our word proto, meaning the first, but that's not what proto means. Proto means for, and then ton, for fashion, is what ton is. And you see all these words, they're rhyming here, on and ton, on and ton, on. And so the first means for rise, for Orton, ton, fashion. And then when this apostrophe is the correct way here, you see how it was backwards here? It means you go straight to the back of the word and read it backwards. And it's not something I made up. It's the actual definition of apostrophe. That's what it actually means in the ancient Greek. And you'll see it up here. Just a couple lines up, this strophes, the strophes, having turned, means to turn. Apostrophe, apo, to away, strophes, to turn. So this kind of all blends together as one word. It's hurisque lesser two, of utu so two, For Orton Tana fled Adelphont, annoyed Idion Simona. And so, the moon riseth on, and a tana is the ancient word for a tuna. A tana is a tuna fish. And a tana fled. And they say that a Nuffled is an ancient Amorican god. Amorica. Amorica is the ancient name for Britain. Over 2,000 years ago, it was Amorica. That's where the word America come from. And you can't find anything about Nuffle except in this blood bowl. And so, all the gods, there was no gods anyway. The gods are words. And so they made up all the stories of the gods to teach the meanings of the words. So there is no word Nuffled. You see, like muffled, like quieted. And so it's the opposite of quieted. And you can see it here in the other direction. It's the Adel. Adel is a worthy phone, a worthy voice, a worthy noise, and Nuffled, a worthy voice, and hollered out, a worthy voice, hooty hoos. And so, for Orton, for rising of the moon, the tuna fled, a worthy phone. But a phone is a voice, but a font is a writing. A worthy font on. And so the words were written in the sky. It wasn't sound, it was written. We made the sounds to it. A worthy font on. And then the ton is also the tonoid. The tonoid. An oid is a resemblance. Like a humanoid, it resembles a human. A tonoid, it resembles the fish idion. And so that's a play on words, as in an idiom, but it's an idion because a Dion is a worshiper of Dionysius, the god of wine. But a yawn is a period of light, is a day. It's blending all this together in one big riddle. The moon rise of for Orton Tana fled, the fish fled, a worthy font, not a voice, but it starts to say a voice, but then it's a writing, a font, a letter on, and it's a tana, the fish annoyed. The fish resembles the idion. It's coming from idios, one's own private, and teasing the word idiom. A group of words established by usage, having a meaning not deductible from those in the individual words. The meaning's not in the words. And a worthy font annoyed idion Simona. And Simona, and Jesus was going alongside the sea when he saw Simon, Simona. And Simona means the ocean, the sea. And Simon is alongside the sea. He was alongside the sea when he saw Simon. And when he was alongside the sea, he saw the side of the sea. And so this constellation, Pisces is an English word. Tana was the Greek word for fish. And so all this about Jesus being the fish in the itchy and all that Greek, that's not the Greek word for fish. It was tana, the fish. And the tano was the king of the fish, the tuna. You know, Pisces meant feet in Greek. So, horiske, of lesser to, of utu sotu, of the huda sotu, of the eye of the owl, huda sotu. For Orton, for the moon rise it on Tana fled, a worthy font on Tanaoid, a fishoid, idion, the idiom, the words resembling the day, alongside the ocean. And then the key just replaces the vav. You could just put the U there, the same letter right here. It's a W-U or a V. The same as in the Hebrew. And so it's just allege they, U-L-E-G-E-Y, allege they. And said, not he says, but they says, allege they. It gets difficult. You have 3 directional marks here, but this is A, alpha, omega, and then the line up top tells you to read the T, and this line down here tells you to go the other end of the word, but the end of the word is here now where you ran into this mark, and so it's T-U-T-O-T-U, the 2 to 2. And it's the alpha omega 2 to 2, the alpha omega asia atu, the owl 2 to 2. The owl's hoot, the one that hooted is the one that's teaching you this. And allege they alpha omega a 2 to 2, the teacher. And so this word, Eureka, they tell you in school that means I found it, and so this apostrophe's turning backwards again, so it's actually E-U-H-U, who, and it's who recommend the maker, and then the W-T-O-N, who recommend the maker what on. Messiah. I told you when I found Messiah in the Hebrew, it just means M is from Shai, is where it's written in the Hebrew. And it was talking about the beatdown wall that you from Shai, And so from Shai means you try not to go to the beatdown wall. It's not a place you want to be, And so Messiah means from Shai of. It means it's not there. It means when a king messed up, they erased his name from the wall. He was shy of it. All the information about Akhenaten has been erased, and they say it's because he's the one who invented the one God, where people want to worship all their gods. But no, I'm pretty sure that it was all erased because it was all these same writings that they didn't want people to get a clue of what this was about. This was all erased after they created this. But it was Djoser, the one that was actually erased. He was the first name erased from the wall. Most everything about him was erased. And it explains in the Hebrew why. And so it has several meanings, from shy of, the wall from shy of, when they erased your name from the wall, or the beat down wall where you're shy of it. But you can see it right here in this word they call Messiah, the meaning of it. And it's from a scion. And a scion is Old English, a scion, to waste, consume, or void. Not there, barren. It's a scion, E-S-S-I-A-N. Void, barren. The E-S-S-I-A-N, from a scion, from void, from the bare spot. Oh, ho, and then backwards, the night, N-I-T-S, the nights, istin, it is in, and that's the word destiny, where future comes from, the east in. All the stars feed up from the east. That's where your destiny is coming, from the east. And the west is the past. A night's in eastin, the meter, the time, the much new omen on, an omen. That's coming from hooty hoo. The owls are the king of the omens. The time much new, the omen on, Xristos. And so this word comes from an X and a Xristos. So this Risto is where your word Christian come from. And it's the letter R is what it means. In the Finnish, I'm not going to try to say it, but it's the ICAO spelling alphabet, the Risto, and it just means the letter R. So the same way in the Greek that you would call what we say is a letter R, you would call it a rho. The same in the Hebrew, when we would say it was a letter R, they call it a resh. Well, in the Finnish, it's called a Risto. And it's like when you're talking on the radio, you Charlie November Foxtrot Alpha, to make sure people on the other end understand what you're saying on a broke up telephone or a radio. And even before that, we would use it. That's the name of these flags. A lot of people think it's just to dress the boat up, but this is communications. When you're at sea, before radios, this was communications. And you don't tell the signalman, go raise the R flag. You tell him, go raise the Mike Charlie. At sea they have meanings. And when you're in port, if you need everybody to come back to the ship, you fly the Papa flag. Everybody, we about to set sail. Everybody come on back to the ship. And, if y'all done caught the flu, you hang the Quebec flag. We quarantine here. And if we transferring fuel or explosives, we hang this Bravo flag, no smoking, dangerous cargo. Diver down, Alpha. Man overboard, Oscar. But when you hang the Chi Romeo, the X-ray, stop your intention. Romeo, do not pass ahead of me. The Chiro, stop your intention, do not pass ahead of me. Chiro, I am God, stop your intention and do not pass in front of me. You get behind me, I am God, is what that says. Do not try to cross in front of me. Don't try to beat me into port. You hang your Chiro flag. We are the Chiros, the Alpha Omegas. We are the gods. And don't try to pull your boat up in front of me, or we'll run through you. It's the X, the Chi, and the Risto, the Rho, and S, the Chiros. So in the Hebrew, this XR, this Chiro, is pronounced Zar, Tzar, and it's the base word for your enemies, the Zaric, the enemies. The Zar, a tight spot, don't get in front of me, it's a narrow. Inzar, your distress. The Elixir, your enemies, your adversaries, your foes, your Zaric, the God Zar, your God adversary. Who risque the Kazaru of Utuso for Orton Tana fled Adelphon, a worthy font on, a worthy font, Chiro, Adelphon Tanaoi, the fish-like Idion, the Simona, the sea, Allege they Alpha Omega 2 to 2 and teach you a lesson at 2 to 2. Who recommend the maker to ton to fashion from the void, from Ession of the nights is in, the nights is it in, the time, the meter, much new omen on the Chiros. So my program's loaded up. I'm gonna have to get to this Jesus in the next one, but you can see how it's spelt different now. Now it's IHSOUN, and it's spelt different every time. Usually it starts with just the IHSOU the first time, and the second time it comes with the OUS, and the third time it'll come with the OUN. Pretty much all throughout the New Testament when they use it. You see here it is, the time above. It has the IHSOUS, and here's the time before it, IHSOU. It's just coming from this base word, the IHS, and backwards. That's where your word shipping come from, SHI. It's the International House of Shipping, the House of the Sun, to make the divide, consume, is to consume the divide, is the waters between the land, the first sailors. And you see the 3 Vavs down here, 666. The Jesuit Shipping Company, the Jesuit Holdings and Shipping. But if you missed my last movie, this is where it says Asia Atu right here. This word to them, he says to them, no ledge they, and then the other way, SIO, Asia. And this line says read the O twice, Atu, Asia Atu, the long-eared owl. But if you study into all these Egyptian gods, the whole world, they had animals and plants was their gods. And so when the Romans come in, they didn't like this, and so they changed all their gods. They still had all the same qualities as the bull, except they gave them human faces and they gave them human personalities. So before Jesus was a man, he was the bull of peas that was left here by the gods, that was created by the gods and didn't come by birth. And before the Alpha Omega was the beginning and the end creator, he was Asia Atus, the teacher of astrology.
Don't forget, hooty hoo, tooty hoo. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.